Tonight in Cincinnati at Fifth Third Arena, the suddenly dangerous group of Bearcats looking for an upset against the best of the Big East. Number 9 Pitt takes on Cincinnati. Next. Here inside Fifth Third Arena, the last time a Big East team came in and met the Bearcats, West Virginia went home losers. Tonight, number 9 Pittsburgh comes to Bearcat country to meet Cincinnati. Again, everyone, I'm Bob Wischusen here with Perry Clark. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. And Coach was telling me earlier on today at Shoot Around, all the fond memories you have of coming to Cincinnati and coaching against the Bearcats. A little more comfortable tonight calling the game.
Without question, Bob. It's nice to come in and see the Bearcats without having to play them.
No question about it. It is a comfortable sight, though, if you're Jamie Dixon, when you send your team out on the floor and they surround Aaron Gray. This is a player that right now might have a Final Four contingent around him. He might be the most dominant player in the Big East, though.
Well, Aaron Gray is certainly going to be a factor tonight. Cincinnati's going to figure out how they're going to play him, whether or not they're going to double him down low or mix their defenses with some zone and man-to-man. But he has some great guards around him, so you can't leave them alone.
Speaking of great guards, Cincinnati, they are certainly outmanned in terms of size, but on the perimeter, they did a great job against West Virginia. If they knock down shots tonight, they believe they can stay in this game.
That's the key for Cincinnati. They must make shots. Vaughn and Gentry especially must wind up hitting open jump shots. They're very explosive guards, and they can take you off the dribble.
Gentry's 32 against West Virginia was a career high. The crowd is out in force tonight. This is certainly a home court advantage as Gray and the rest of the Pitt Panthers come to Cincinnati. We'll have the lineups and the tip next. Tonight's ESPN Plus game is brought to you by Hyundai, with quality that lets them offer America's best warranty. 10 years, 100,000 miles. Red Lobster, it's jumbo shrimp at Red Lobster, starting at $11.99. And by Oppenheimer Funds, the right way to invest. Just about game time here in Cincinnati at Fifth Third Arena. Bob Wischusen and Perry Clark for a Big East matchup between number 9 Pitt and Cincinnati. And as we check our Star Watch tonight, Coach, a very solid matchup of point guards, Levance Fields and Dante Vaughn.
Two very good point guards. Both of them have the ability to control the game in different ways. Fields can knock down the three, but he also does a good job of getting the ball inside. For Vaughn, he has to make sure defensively he mixes his defenses and knows when maybe to go in and double on Gray and when to stay at home.
And this game could very well be determined by two guys that aren't even a part of our starting lineups, which we'll get to in a moment. Mike Cook was mentioned by the Pitt coaching staff as really their X factor. If he comes out and plays well, they have a very good chance to win tonight's game. And John Williamson capped off the win against West Virginia with an emphatic dunk. But Ronald Ramon for Pitt and Marvin Gentry for Cincinnati will both get major minutes, and they've both been hot.
Well, two very explosive players off the bench, Bob, and both of them have the ability to really change the game. Ramon, everybody knows in the league how explosive he is from three-point land, but Gentry with a great game against West Virginia.
Jamie Dixon in his 8th year at Pitt, 4th year as the Pitt head coach, 93 and 25 overall. The first coach in Pitt history to win 20 or more games and 10 or more Big East games 3 consecutive years. And that is a very impressive run. As for Mick Cronin, well, he is just starting to build his resume at Cincinnati. Only 34 years old. His first year at the helm of the Bearcats, a Cincinnati native that comes back to his alma mater after a very successful 3-year stint as the head coach at Murray State, where he won 69 games and had a couple of trips to the NCAA tournament.
Well, both of these guys have stepped into jobs that the guys before them have done such a great job. Jamie Dixon, what a great job he's done in taking Pitt even to another level where they are right now.
The question for Cincinnati early, can they make some shots and get some type of a lead? They have consistently been playing from, at times, not just double figures down, but deep into double figures down. In the win over West Virginia, they had to come from 15 down in the second half to beat the Mountaineers.
Well, Mick has changed his offense some. They've gone more to pick and roll, as you just saw there, than setting up set plays because they really didn't have any back-to-the-basket type to score.
Well, there is an emphatic start. Vaughn finds John Williamson, and the transfer from Cincinnati State gives the Bearcats the early 2-0 lead.
And we've seen their first defense. They're in a 1-3-1 right now, just trying to give Pitt a little different look.
Gray along the baseline, finds Fields for three. In and out. And the rebound run down by Vaughn.
Although Fields missed that, that just showed you how well Gray sees the floor. He's an excellent passer.
Vaughn penetrates again. From the corner, a wide open long two is knocked down by Marcus Sykes, who on their starting lineups is actually listed as the center. Now, he might play the 5 on defense, but he plays the 3 offensively, a very good perimeter player for a big man.
Well, he has taken the second most threes on the team. And again, give Mick Cronin a lot of credit because he's changed the way that they've played in the midst of the season, which is not, Bob, an easy thing to do. They spread the floor, they penetrate and pitch.
Graves finds Gray, and Gray gets his first pair. So Aaron Gray on the board and Pitt on the board as well.
This Pittsburgh team is a very veteran team. They really play well with each other. They read each other well. And I thought, and I've seen them earlier in the year, that they were one of the few teams that could make adjustments in the midst of a game to really understand what they had to do that night to win, which is a real credit to Jamie Dixon. Again, you'll see Cincinnati. They just try to spread it out. They're looking for spacing, they're looking for driving lanes, and then find the open man.
Williamson misses with 4 seconds on the shot clock, and Gray with his first rebound. Cook on the baseline, simply lost it out of bounds. So it goes back over to Cincinnati.
Now that is not so much Pittsburgh's game. Pittsburgh likes to come down and run some sort of set type of offense, and they execute it very well.
In 20 games so far this season, Pitt has been better than 50% from the field 9 times. They also lead the Big East in three-point percentage at just shy of 40% as a team from behind the arc. So Cincinnati certainly has their work cut out for them on the defensive end. Williamson again.
Bob,
and the rebound out to Mike Cook.
Cincinnati's getting pretty good looks, and if they continue to get those looks and can make some shots, they can really stay in this basketball game.
Nice pass out of the double team by Gray, and a wide open look for Levance Fields. He knocks down a triple, and Pitt has the early 1-point lead.
You know, there's some people that feel that Gray rather passes than shoot, and he's an excellent passer from the double team. And the main reason is because of his footwork. He has excellent footwork.
Jamal Warren finds Williamson again, passed up an open jumper in the corner that time, and a reset to Vaughn, who splits the double team with 10 on the shot clock. His deflected pass ends up in McGowan's hands, and he's too strong. And the rebound off to Levon Kendall.
Again, they're looking to post up Gray, suck up the double team, and make the play from there.
Gray again passes out of the double team again. Ball rotation finds itself in the hands of a wide open Levance Fields. And he has now hit back-to-back threes. I guess when you have those big men on the baseline, occasionally, if you double, it's going to end up in Fields' hands or Graves' hands for a wide open look.
Well, that's why he was in your star watch, Bob, because he is an explosive player and you have to play him. And that's the dilemma that Cincinnati's in when they go to double Gray.
8-4. Pitt doubling up Cincinnati early on from the corner. Sykes too strong. Fields has the rebound, and on the run in the open court, Antonio Graves threw it away. Sykes with the steal. Third turnover against Pitt.
Cincinnati would like an up and down style.
Well, that one goes up and falls down. A nice move in the lane by Dante Vaughn, who is the leading scorer for this Cincinnati team at 13.5 points per game, and the second leading scorer in the Big East in terms of freshmen. Only Eugene Harvey of Seton Hall has scored more points per game than Dante Vaughn, as Mike Cook shows his wares on the baseline.
Well, Vaughn is very strong. He can penetrate, take some bumps, and still finish. And that's the thing. If you're going to be a really good scorer as a point, you have to be able to take the ball in the paint, take some bumps, and still finish. Again, you see Cincinnati spreading the floor.
15 seconds on the shot clock, a little over 5 minutes gone by in the first half. Passing out of the double team, a strength for the 7-footer, Aaron Gray. Ball movement by the Panthers. Ends up with a wide open look for Levance Fields, who knocks it down. A 4-point lead for Pitt. Point lead for Pitt over Cincinnati, and ball movement coach getting them open looks.
Well, Pittsburgh does a very good job. They try to throw the ball in the Gray. They have a guy ball side corner. They have a guy weak side corner, guy weak side low post, and they get the ball to Fields opposite foul line. And they always put guys in those positions so Gray knows exactly where his outlets are.
This is the 8th possession of the game for Cincinnati, and they have now taken the shot clock under 15 seconds on 7 of those 8 possessions.
They want to play fast, but they don't want fast shots. They want to get down, see if they can get some easy shots out of transition, but they don't want to shoot the ball too quick.
A deep jumper missed by Vaughn with only 3 seconds on the shot clock again, but an offensive rebound to keep it alive by Jamal Warren.
And spreading the floor, they're taking Gray away from the basket, which they think really helps them.
Warren missed everything, but a great save by McGowan. Now Vaughn caught on the baseline, but still is somehow able to convert.
Now, Pitt has gone smaller. They brought in Benjamin, they brought in Young, and they brought in Ramon. So they're trying to make some adjustment to Cincinnati's quickness.
Ramon, the best outside shooter that Pitt has, knocks down a 3 and the foul. A chance for a 4-point play for Ronald Ramon right off the bench, and already with a chance to score 4.
You know, Ronald Ramon is a very, I think, a very special player and a very important part of Pittsburgh's team. As there you see him, they move the ball. Pittsburgh is a very unselfish team, and Ramon spots up and knocks that down. But he comes off the bench. He probably could start for so many teams, but he plays so unselfish, and when he comes in, he really gives them a tremendous shot in the arm.
He's averaging 16 points per game over his last 3 outings, and has now hit 10 of his last 13 from behind the arc. And already a 6-point lead for Pitt. Marvin Gentry has the basketball. He had 32 in the win over West Virginia. That's only the 4th time this season he's even been in double figures. A jumper rims out for Cedric McGowan. The rebound off to Gray. And on the run again, Pitt. Fields gets the Gray screen, launches a 3, got another one. Levance Fields is now 3 for 3 from behind the arc here in the first half, and it's a 9-point lead for Pitt. Timeout called by Cincinnati.
Bob, and that's why this Pittsburgh team is so dangerous. We talked about Field. He has a tremendous feel for the game. You know, early he came down, he was looking to get the ball inside. Now he's hitting his shots, he's hunting his shots a little bit more, using the high ball screens, which the Pittsburgh guards do exceptionally well. And this Pittsburgh, they just make so many adjustments in the midst of the game that a coach doesn't have to take a timeout, but these guys seem to read what the team is doing to them defensively, and then they make the adjustment. They're a very smart basketball team, and the 2 guards, Ramon and Fields, do an excellent job of reading and communicating to the other people on the floor what they want done. 6
in a row for Pitt from the field. They are 4 of 5 from behind the arc, and 3 of their 4 3-point shots have been made by Levance Fields.
And by going smaller, there you have Kendall in the 5. Young is playing the 4. They match up a little bit better with Cincinnati, especially the style of play that Cincinnati's trying to play. He's countering with his best defensive team, I think, to try to shut them down. Marvin Gentry has his pocket picked. The other way goes Graves, and a foul called on Gentry. And that foul called on the floor. Gentry's first, second on the team. Jamie Dixon says, okay, you want to spread me out? We're going to put in our best defensive players, and we'll just take you man to man. And there you see a great steal right there. And that's what Pittsburgh can do. There's so many ways that they can come at you. Gentry's second early on. 7.5 minutes gone by here in the first half, and Pitt looking for their first double-digit lead. Double-digit disadvantages is commonplace, unfortunately, this year for Cincinnati. It was an article in the paper that was actually written today, basically saying Cincinnati has to stop falling behind
by double figures. Well, with 7 seconds on the shot clock, Ramon looks to put Pitt up by double figures. A three. It's good. What shooting by the Panthers early on. They are now 6 for 7 from three-point land.
Well, they do as good a job as any team in this league using ball screens, the guards do, to get free. And all they need is a little bit of space, and they can shoot the basketball. The problem Cincinnati has is shooting the basketball. They are not a very, very good shooting team. And that's normally what gets them in trouble. They're next to last in the Big East in scoring defense, and then next to last in field goal percentage.
Here's Warren forcing 4 on the shot clock. Tough shot. Williamson, an offensive rebound and a stick back. A big offensive rebound for John Williamson, who actually is averaging 3.6 offensive rebounds per game. He's the second best offensive rebounder in the league.
Well, if you're not going to shoot it well, the big guys know we can go climb the glass. And all coaches teach you rebound opposite the way the shot is taken, opposite side of the basket, the way the shot is taken.
Benjamin misses an open three. An offensive rebound kept alive by Levon Kendall. Threw it away. In transition, Dante Vaughn right to the basket. Can't get it to go, but the foul called on Ronald Ramon will put Dante Vaughn at the line.
Well, Bob, one thing we know, leads don't mean anything to Cincinnati because they've been behind before.
Ronald Ramon has already hit 2 from behind the arc. He shoots 48% from 3. Amazing. With a 10-point lead, and Perry Clark, the big reason they've got a 10-point lead, they're 5 for 7 from behind the arc.
Well, they've knocked down three-point shots, but they've had good looks, Bob, every time they've taken them. There you see Fields with the ball screen wide open, knocks it down. There you see Ramon coming off a ball screen wide open, knocks it down. These guys are really smart. They've shared the basketball, and they've gotten themselves good looks every time they've taken it. That's a heck of a guy right there, Brandon Knight. I tell you what, he sent me home crying many a night. He's awful talented.
Dante Vaughn at the free throw line, a 76% free throw shooter, and clangs one off the back iron. Vaughn has been the early offensive star for Cincinnati. He has 4, and his last 3 games averaging 15 points and over 3 assists per game. And he's now up to 5 to lead the Bearcats. And it's back to single digits, a 9-point lead for Pitt with 9 minutes gone by here in the first half.
And now you see Cincinnati starting some full-court pressure. We talked about at the top of the show that they would mix their defense and try to give Pittsburgh a lot of different looks to see what is working tonight.
When Aaron Glay's on the floor, you probably would consider it a defensive success if you force the opposition into some deep jump shots. Except Pitt keeps knocking all their deep jump shots down. Here's another one. And another make from the perimeter. Antonio Graves, the 6th made 3 in the first half for Pitt.
Well, this Pittsburgh team, Bob, we saw them in shoot-around today. They were loose. They were confident. They were very disappointed in the way that they played against Marquette. It was a game they thought that they could have and should have won. And you can tell today they come out with more focus and more determination.
A missed 3 by Jamal Warren. Offensive rebound and a traveling call as John Williamson lost his footing.
You know, whenever you go and putting a program together, and this is Mitch Cronin's first year, what you're trying to do, you're trying to establish how hard you want to play. And this Cincinnati team plays extremely hard. They go after every loose ball. They go after offensive rebounds. And this team, as they start adding some pieces and getting some experience, they're really going to challenge in the Big East.
Aaron Gray plays quarterback. It was a nice lob down the right sideline. Good for a touchdown, just about.
Well, he's a heck of a passer. I mean, and I think at the next level, that's going to really pay a lot of dividends for him.
Not sure why, if you're Pitt, you take a 2-point shot. That was a low percentage shot for them here in the first half. Just stay behind the arc.
That was the closest shot that they had in a long time.
No rhythm right now to this Cincinnati offense, though, is there?
No, it's not, because but you have to credit Pittsburgh's defense. They are really doing a good job of containing the ball and not letting people slash in the gaps on them.
As we check our Hyundai Big East leaders, Ronald Ramon and Antonio Graves, 2 of the top 4 3-point field goal percentage players in the conference.
And you look at that and you say, well, why? You have to give Mr. Gray a lot of credit for that because he gets so much attention, so many double teams. And then Kendall and Cook do a very good job of setting screens also to get these guys looks.
That last foul called against Sam Young, his first, the second on Pitt. Only 2 team fouls called against each team past the midway point of the first half. Only 11 points on the board, though, for Cincinnati. They average 67 points per game. Well, right now, they are well behind that pace.
Well, this Pittsburgh team is a really good defensive team.
In amongst the trees, a nice pass to Williamson. Off the feed from Sykes, and Williamson will head to the line as Aaron Gray picks up the personal foul. That's his first.
Bob, you see here the penetration, and one of the things that Mick Cronin has learned about his team, that they are better attacking the basket facing than they are with their back to the basket. Early on in his offensive sets, he ran a lot of stuff where guys were in post-up positions with their back to the basket and they weren't able to finish. They've had more success facing the basket and shooting head on, and this has worked.
Cincinnati is only 1 for 4 at the free throw line through the first 10.5 minutes. And they trail by 12. Gray immediately double teamed, threw it to no one. The double team forces the turnover. McGowan in transition for the easy 2. Well, that's what Cincinnati's looking for.
Without question, that time Kendall cut to the basket and Gray thought he was going to stay on the wing and tried to kick it back to him.
Fields around the Kendall screen. Graves looked to go backdoor to Kendall, who was cutting. Knocked out of bounds by Williamson. 17 seconds on the shot clock for Pitt. Levon Kendall is actually a very interesting story. A Vancouver, British Columbia project that came to Pitt and now has the ball. He actually was recruited by Jamie Dixon in Toronto at a basketball festival that Dixon ended up at by mistake. He was supposed to spend a weekend at a basketball festival in New York City. But the weekend that the basketball festival in New York City was taking place was just after September 11th, 2001. So with all of the travel nightmares that obviously were taking place not long after 9/11, he couldn't get to New York City. He said, you know what, there's a basketball festival up in Toronto. Maybe I'll head up there. And he just stumbled upon Levon Kendall in Toronto and ends up recruiting him to Pitt. And now he's standing alongside Aaron Gray in a very formidable front line.
Without question, you know, we've come to find out just how good a head coach Jamie Dixon is, but he was a tremendous recruiter as an assistant at Pittsburgh. And a lot of Troutman and a lot of those other kids that played before this group, he was responsible for recruiting them.
Marvin Gentry forced to the bench with his 3rd personal foul. There have only been 3 fouls called against Cincinnati. All 3 on Gentry. Alley-oop and an emphatic throwdown by Cedric McGowan. What a feed from Dante Vaughn.
Well, I tell you, when Cincinnati's able to score, you know, they can go on some streaks. Their problem has been they've gone minutes without a bucket.
Graves steps into a 3. No good. And the rebound lost out of bounds by Mike Cook. Well, Pitt finally missed one. And after the alley-oop at one end and the miss at the other, all of a sudden the crowd here at Fifth Third Arena back in the game.
There you see a back screen right there, comes right off the back screen and throws it down over the top. And again, the spacing for Cincinnati is the key. They're really trying to spread the floor so that they can have cutting lanes and driving lanes and passing lanes.
Vaughn already with 5 points and 3 assists. Wanted to go backdoor again. Instead pulls up for 3. Comes up short. Long rebound out. And the stick back won't go for Jamal Warren. And Kendall comes up with the loose ball.
Look for Pitt to try to settle down right now. And normally when they settle down, it's either Gray or Fields.
Inside it's Gray, knocked away. No foul called as Gray was using his size to back down McGowan. 23-15, Pitt on top, although Aaron Gray has yet to be a big factor. Pitt in just about every statistical category, but much worse than you would think for the score, only to be 23-15. Golf fans and club pros, it's not too early to start thinking about the 2007 ESPN National Golf Challenge. Log on to espngolf.com to register your team or to sign up your course as a qualifying site. Be a part of the search for America's best twosome. Bob Wischusen, Perry Clark here at Fifth Third Arena. And Coach, Pittsburgh shooting 67%. They're 6 of 9 from three-point land. Cincinnati, 39% from the field, 0 of 4 from three-point land. Honestly, if you just gave me those two numbers, I would expect this to be more than an 8-point deficit. As Ramon knocks down a three, well, it gets worse. As Ramon hits his third three here in the first half.
And it was a set play that Pittsburgh likes to run where they sent him off a double. And Coach Cronin knew it was coming. That's why he reacted on the sidelines. But again, you know, the one thing that Cincinnati's doing, they're not giving them a lot of second shots. And they are offensive rebounding. And that's two things that are really helping them keep it fairly close.
Tyrell Biggs comes off the bench and gets his first rebound. And then commits his first turnover. In transition, Warren. From the corner, can they knock down their first three? The answer is yes. Marcus Sykes, who's shooting 45% for the season from behind the arc.
Well, you talked about him earlier. You know, early in the season, he played like their five-man, but he's their second leading three-point shooter. And so he can step out, and now again, when they spread the floor, they put him in the corner, and he does a good job knocking down jump shots.
Fields tries again and connects again. Pitt is simply unconscious from behind the arc. They are shooting 70% from three-point land here in the first half. Even better now at 8 of 11.
But, Bob, I mean, they play with so much confidence. And, again, you know, we've seen Ramon come in off the bench, and he's consistently knocked down threes. How you like to have a guy like that on the bench that you can bring in that can shoot like that?
Aaron Gray right now is on the bench with 2 points and 2 rebounds, and yet Pitt has an 11-point lead. Nice move, unable to convert was Dante Vaughn, though. Deflects off Pitt out of bounds. So a fresh shot clock for Cincinnati.
But again, this is the versatility of Pittsburgh. They can go with Cook and Kendall, as there you see the drive there by Cincinnati. But they can go small and match up with you defensively.
Williamson missed inside, but a smart play to bank it off of Fields. And again, a fresh shot clock for Cincinnati, as Pitt right now shooting 73% overall from three and 71% from the field here in the first half.
But Cincinnati has to feel fortunate to be as close as they are with those sort of numbers going against them. Again, you see Cincinnati right now. They're spreading the floor. They work off the ball screen to look for some penetration.
Vaughn for three. Can't get the roll. It's been that kind of first half offensively for Cincinnati. Crowd thought the ball deflected out off Biggs. But Biggs actually probably should have been granted a foul as he was shoved out of bounds. Look at the three-point shooting numbers for Pitt.
That's incredible. Pittsburgh is just lighting it up right now with Fields and Ramon especially coming off of ball screens. Grade's back in the game, although Cincinnati now is going 1-3-1. So again, Cincinnati trying to mix the defenses to give this Pittsburgh team a lot of different looks. And this would bother a lot of teams, but this is a veteran Pittsburgh team.
Ramon, good ball movement. The extra pass to the corner, and it's another one. Sam Young this time from behind the arc. 32-18, Pitt on top.
Bob, how do you, it's hard as a coach to prepare for Pittsburgh because different guys step up different nights. Cook can step up, Young can step up, Kendall can step up. You know Fields and Gray and Ramon are consistent.
Sykes answers a three for the Bearcats. And it's back to an 11-point Pitt advantage.
Cincinnati has nailed enough shots to really to stay close, and they've been able to turn Pittsburgh over a few times.
Almost a steal by Sykes. Jamie Dixon didn't like the way that possession was going, and Pitt calls a 30-second timeout.
Well, right now, what Jamie's telling his ball club is, take your time. They've changed the defenses. Let's move the basketball around like we've been doing. Let's not forget about Aaron in the low post. And I think that they'll pick that up. For Cincinnati, they just want to continue to scrap, mix the defenses. I like their game plan. I like the way they spread the floor. Now they seem like they're getting a little bit more comfortable with their jump shots, and they just have to continue to do what they're doing and chip away at this lead.
Talk about comfortable with your jump shot, Levance Fields.
Well, he's unconscious. He's not just comfortable. He's spotting up here on the weak side. There you see him in the corner. He's really got his stroke going tonight. You can tell by his bounce that he feels good about himself. He really is an outstanding performer because he can put the ball on the floor and drive as well as he can shoot jump shots.
You said don't forget about Aaron Gray in the post for Pitt here in the first half. It's been Aaron who? And the All-American candidate and consensus preseason Big East Player of the Year has been an afterthought. He's 1 for 1 from the field, 2 points, 2 rebounds, 5 on the shot clock, and now Gray with authority, and that shot partially blocked and knocked away by Marcus Sykes. Sykes went right up and challenged Gray.
But I told you, I knew Jamie probably wanted them to get the ball into Gray and start establishing him because all he's been doing is catching and passing. And right now they haven't been playing him for the shot. They've been playing him for the pass.
Split of the double team by Vaughn, got caught in midair and somehow unloaded the basketball. And now 3 seconds is called against Cincinnati, which honestly might have been more of a makeup call than anything. It looked as if Deontay Vaughn may have been guilty of an up and down.
The great drives. Sykes comes across. It may have been a little contact there, but this is the Big East, and you got to play with that.
Pitt with a 32-21 lead over Cincinnati. Big East basketball here on ESPN+. And it's time now for our Big East Coaches Spotlight, brought to you by Oppenheimer Funds, as we take a closer look at Mick Cronin. Really a great story. His first year here at Cincinnati, he was a graduate assistant under Bob Huggins, a graduate of Cincinnati, a video coordinator, promoted to assistant, eventually became the head coach at Murray State for 3 seasons and went to the NCAA tournament twice, and now he's back here at Cincinnati to take over his old program.
Well, it's nothing like coming home, and especially coaching at your alma mater, and he'll do a fine job here.
3.5 minutes to go in the first half. Pitt's team record for made threes is 14 in a game. They have 9 made threes in 12 attempts here in the first half. Only an 11-point lead, though. You would think, from Cincinnati's standpoint, it might be worse with some of these numbers. And an offensive foul is called against Ronald Ramon, a moving screen at the top of the key.
Well, it'll be interesting. Cincinnati went man-to-man that time. It'd be interesting to see if they continue to double Gray. He has not hurt them yet, so maybe you stay at home and not give him outlets to take away the 3-point shooting.
Ramon with his second personal foul. Cincinnati with only 3 turnovers here in the first half. They had a season low 6 turnovers in the win against West Virginia. From outside, a 3-point foul as Marcus Sykes will head to the line.
And again, you see Cincinnati spreading the floor. This has worked very well for them. That time, Pittsburgh got caught in helping and trying to recover to the shooter and wound up fouling Sykes.
Sam Young called for his second personal foul. That's the 6th against Pittsburgh here in the first half. So Mick Cronin's team will shoot the bonus the rest of the way. Only 3 minutes to go in the first half, but a chance here. Sykes with 2 more free throws coming to cut the lead all the way down to 8.
Now you see Kendall coming back. I just think Pittsburgh is a lot more fluent when they have a bigger lineup, Bob, than when they go small.
Ramon will sit down as Antonio Graves comes back on. Graves has been in double figures 12 times this year. Pittsburgh with only 1 free throw attempt so far. That might seem as if they're not getting the road calls. They haven't gone into the paint yet.
No,
they really haven't gotten into real estate where you would draw a foul. All they've done is launch threes with tremendous success.
If it's man-to-man, expect for them to try to get the ball in the Gray in the low post.
2:45 to go in what has been a back-and-forth first half. And that's actually a statistic where Aaron Gray plays for Pitt. You would not expect Cincinnati to be in charge. Now Gray out of the double team again. Ball movement sets up Graves for three. That's an air ball. They are human.
I was surprised Field passed that because he had a good look on the kick out right from Gray.
Vaughn in a mismatch against Kendall. And now Gray. Vaughn backs out the 7-footer. Around him. And along the baseline to Williamson, who missed the bunny.
And that's exactly what Cincinnati wanted in that, to get a mismatch.
And now at the other end, Cook with a tough floater. And Pitt pushes back to an 11-point advantage.
Those are swing plays, Bob. If they could have converted there, it really would have helped them. They missed, and now Pittsburgh comes back on the other end, and they've got an 11-point lead again, a double-digit lead.
Vaughn tries to penetrate. This time, though, the player that's supposed to be guarding him, and Antonio Graves, is there, and it's down to 7 seconds on the shot clock. 4 seconds on the shot clock. A force from Vaughn. Knocks it down. A double clutch three from Dante Vaughn.
Well, there's a lot of pressure on Vaughn in this offense to create. They're asking him to beat his man or create a switch situation to get other people open shots. And he's done a fine job tonight.
Fields, Gray with a nice seal inside. And Sykes does the wise thing and commits a hard foul and forces Aaron Gray to earn it at the line. That's Sykes' first. Only the 4th foul against Cincinnati here in the first half.
Again, this is a set play. Gray screens, and then he rolls, and then they feed him the basketball. This is a very unselfish Pittsburgh team.
9 double-doubles this year for Aaron Gray. Last season, 13.9 points, 10.5 rebounds. He was the only player in the Big East to average a double-double for the season. And he's right back where he left off last year, averaging a double-double. 1 of 2 at the line, and Gray will sit down as quickly Sam Young comes back in. 1 minute to go in the first half.
It's very important, I think, for Cincinnati to finish this half off strong. They put themselves in a position of being close at half, which is what you want to do. But they must finish this half off strong.
From deep, Sykes can't hit. And an uncontested rebound from Mike Cook. About a 7-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock.
Look for Pitt to run the shot clock down and then come up with some sort of ball screen, preferably with Fields coming off the ball screen.
Fields comes and gets it near midcourt with 10 to shoot. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Fields around a screen, pulls up for 3. Got another one. LaVance Fields is now 5 for 6 from three-point land here in the first half. 3 seconds to go in the half. Another opportunity. Graves, does he get it off? Rejected in a foul call. A foul called right at the buzzer on Cedric McGowan. Oh, that should put Cook at the line to shoot free throws, or rather Graves at the line to shoot free throws with the lane empty before halftime.
And just what I talked about, it was very important for for Cincinnati to finish the half well. They gave up a 3, and now they could wind up giving up 2 foul shots.
The officials are going to look and see if the foul was committed before or after. Watch the light in the background on the backboard at the other end, signifying the end of the first half. They're going to wave it off. It was very, very close, but they decide to wave it off and rule that the foul on Cedric McGowan came just at the end of the half.
It was close. It was close.
Maybe a break for Cincinnati.
Oh, without question.
Tie goes to the runner. So our halftime report coming up in a moment. Jamie Dixon's team shoots 71% from three-point land in the first half, and they have a 12-point lead. Here at Fifth Third Arena in Cincinnati, the Bearcats trail number 9 Pitt 38-26. Bob Wischusen and Perry Clark on hand. Not the only game going on tonight, though, in the Big East. As we check some scores from around the conference, they are in the second half in Tampa. South Florida leads Rutgers 54-35, so comfortably in front of the Bulls. A good one, though, in the second half between DePaul and Georgetown. Marquette just about doubling up Seton Hall in the first half, and Marshall giving West Virginia all they could handle in Morgantown. So that's obviously a rivalry game. Top 25 scores a little bit later on tonight, part of our ESPN Full Court package. Florida is at Mississippi State. A good one. It'll be brewing in Wisconsin and Madison between Michigan and the Badgers. North Carolina and Wake Forest, and that one all Tar Heels in the second half. And Ohio State only with a 3-point lead over Northwestern at halftime. Texas A&M and Texas Tech tied at halftime. In the first half, it's all Kansas over Baylor. Tulsa and Memphis, a 9 o'clock tip, and Arizona State taking on Arizona later on tonight as well. Number 22 LSU trailing Vanderbilt by 15 at home in the first half. There's a surprising score. And late, Kentucky and Georgia tied at 65. As we welcome you again back to Fifth Third Arena. And as we take a look around the Big East, Coach, if Pitt wins tonight, they will be 6-1, their best start ever in the conference. They've 4 times started 5-1, including this year. They've never been 6-1. Are they a clear-cut favorite in the Big East, or who would be their most dangerous challenger?
But I think we have a lot of basketball yet to play. I think right now this game is important for Pitt because they're looking for that separation. The Marquette loss brought them closer to the pack, and right now there's a huge pack. There you see with 2 lost teams, there's a whole lot of them in there. If they can win this and get some separation, I do think that potentially they can be the best team, but Marquette is an awful talented team, and they've won at Pitt, and Pitt has to go back to Marquette.
Now you can see if Cincinnati were to find a way to come back in the second half, which has been their calling card this year, if they got to 2 and 3, they would jump up more into that mix with Providence, Seton Hall, DePaul right in the middle of the conference. And of course, all these teams are trying to fight their way at least to Madison Square Garden, the Big East tournament.
They have to go to New York, and that's what's important in this league.
When we return, we'll have some first half statistics and highlights only moments away from the start of the second half here in Cincinnati.
Experience is an excellent teacher. And what over 45 years of experience has taught Oppenheimer Funds is the strength of a balanced approach and the effectiveness of a diversely skilled team. Valuable lessons that guide us through an ever-changing financial landscape. Oppenheimer Funds, the right way to invest.
Carefully consider fund investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses. Call your advisor for a prospectus with this and other fund information. Read it carefully before investing.
My company was testing new armor plating for the military.
We were designing this new multimedia center. My company was launching a new energy drink.
The stuff had to stop a .50 caliber bullet.
And the sound engineer changes all the specs. At midnight, we tested in Denver, LA.
We worked every weekend.
The clock was ticking.
There was no room for error.
The initial sales were through the roof.
We really made a difference.
We pulled it off.
This is Maya, and if she doesn't look too happy, she isn't. Maya, like many people, has too much credit card debt. How about you? Do you have $5, $10, $15, or even $25,000 or more in credit card debt? Are your creditors harassing you at all hours? Are you tired of going through life feeling like Maya? I'm Todd Cook, founder of 800 Credit Card Debt. Day in and day out, we help people just like Maya. Regular people who got in over their heads in credit card debt and want their lives back on track. At 800 Credit Card Debt, we'll help you find a payoff plan you can live with. One that could work with your creditors to eliminate penalties, lower your interest rates, and even reduce what you owe. Don't let the word bankruptcy enter your thoughts. Call us, because you can pay off your credit cards and still have money left over each month. And the best part is, you'll feel like yourself again. Maya did. Make the call today.
Get rid of your credit card debt once and for all. Call 1-800-316-4693.
Before the Mets slug it out in 07, it's time for the ultimate flashback of the home run heroes of 06 with 2006 ultimate moments, the long balls. From David Wright's opening shot on opening day, Beltran's walk-off wonders.
That ball is out of here! The Mets win the ball game!
To grand slam after slam after slam.
What a blast by Delgado!
Relive them all again. 2006 Ultimate Moments Long Balls. Premieres Thursday at 8 only on Sportsnet New York.
Get your New York sports here.
Coach Perry Clark, they were 10 for 14 in the first half of tonight's game.
Well, Bob, they had great ball movement. They really shared the ball. They used the ball screens, and Ramon really came in off the bench, shooting the basketball very well, but they were able, because of the way Cincinnati was playing Mr. Gray, they were able to take advantage of that and get some really good looks. As you see, most of the shots were not challenged. They were really good shots for them.
Well, certainly when you play Pittsburgh, you have to pick your poison. Aaron Gray or the threes. Tonight, Cincinnati has chosen the threes. Pitt's made them pay.
I'm Emeka Okafor, college graduate, Charlotte Bobcat, and proud recipient of the Aeropostale Big East Scholar Athlete of the Year. Graduating with a 3.76 GPA and a degree in finance in 3 years, I balanced books and basketball. Aeropostale gives out more than $300,000 in scholarships to both students and student athletes. It wasn't and still isn't all about the rebounds.
When you're someone who's looking forward to a challenge each night, you know you're going to have to execute in the final 2 minutes to win the game. That's the ultimate in competition.
It's never an easy game. I mean, we won by 18, and afterwards, that was tough.
It's scary. It's scary as a coach to approach because there are no easy nights.
It's almost like the NBA. You just know it's going to come down to the last possession. You got to get a stop.
It makes you a better player, makes you a better team.
It's always been competitive. It always will be.
Are our SUVs as much fun as our bikes?
You think you can handle it?
Can you? Introducing the all-new Suzuki XL7 midsize crossover SUV. It's going to be a great ride. Lease the XL7 for just $259 a month.
Do you suffer from painful, irritating hemorrhoids? You are not alone. 80% of Americans suffer from hemorrhoids. Now you can join the thousands who have found immediate relief with a painless, non-surgical treatment that doesn't put you out of commission, requires no anesthesia, and produces immediate relief from the bleeding, itching, and discomfort associated with hemorrhoids. The Hemorrhoid Relief Center's doctors utilize new state-of-the-art technology that will get you back to work the same day. This simple in-office procedure can start changing your life. Don't suffer any longer. Call and schedule an appointment today.
We were in an emergency situation. We don't have extra. We have a little bit of water and a little bit of food. A meeting place, no.
No. I don't think we have a first aid kit.
We have tuna fish, we have beans, we have canned tomatoes,
True.
you know.
That's true, but that's really not survival food. Tomato paste.
Yeah, well, yeah.
The young man inside that outfit is on scholarship. Because he's working hard for it tonight as we return to Cincinnati. How about that phone call to Mom and Dad? Mom, Dad, I was inside the Bearcat uniform tonight. Now I'm in the emergency room. What did you do? Well, started when I got on a skateboard and rode down some stairs.
They'll do anything for their Bearcats here in Cincinnati now.
Start of the second half, Gray from the baseline. Can't convert. And McGowan has the rebound for Cincinnati.
I look for Gray to be more aggressive offensively, looking for his own shot a little bit more, because I think Cincinnati is really playing him right now for the passes.
We'll get to some first half statistics in just a moment when we have an opportunity. Really, there's only one first half statistic that tells the story, as the baseline miss from John Williamson, and that was the three-point shooting in the first half for Pitt. They shoot 71% from behind the arc in the first half. They're shooting 65% from the field, which is good enough. It's actually not as good as their three-point percentage. And Fields tries another one. Unbelievable shooting tonight for Pittsburgh. 18 points for Fields. They have all come on threes.
Well, that's what's so tough about this Pittsburgh team, because there's so many ways that they can hurt you. And you just don't know from night to night who's going to step up and be the guy to really create the problems for you.
What has to be killing Mick Cronin is he is forcing, or at least Cincinnati is, as Williamson will go to the line, forcing Pitt to shoot the ball from areas of the court where you probably would want them to shoot it from, and that is force them into a lot of threes. And look at the first half numbers, 10 of 14 from behind the arc.
And that's incredible, but they've been really good shots. And again, I think the key thing has been Pittsburgh's ability to pass the basketball. I think they're very underrated, Bob, as a team that can pass the basketball. They're one of the finest passing teams not only in the league, I think in the country, and they like to pass to each other, which is probably even more important.
A pair at the line for John Williamson. He now has 6, been in double figures 13 times this year. His first year at Cincinnati, a junior transfer from Cincinnati State. Kendall simply lost the dribble. Gets caught in the corner and finds Gray, who goes strong to the bucket and puts home his own miss.
Well, I think Gray is looking, sometimes you get in the mindset of passing. When you try to attack the basket, you got to concentrate more on scoring. And I think he's got to be more focused right now on attacking the basket and finishing his own shots.
Gray has 5. And Cincinnati still trails by 15 in spite of the fact that they have held Aaron Gray to all but being a non-factor.
Well, one thing I think Vaughn's play, as there you see him just set up Williamson on a pass right there. But one of the things I think he has really controlled this basketball game. For a freshman, Vaughn has come in here and handled the pressure of Pittsburgh. They've worked him off of ball screens. They allowed him to kind of spread the floor and pick the open man. He's done a really fine job with that. He's going to be a really good player in this league.
Levon Kendall's second personal foul. Williamson has struggled tonight from the field. He now has 7, 1 of 2 at the line. And Cincinnati, which obviously can't afford to leave any points on the floor, shooting only 5 for 10 at the free throw line so far tonight.
Well, they only average about 67% from the foul line, which they're going to have to improve.
Home run pass, and Graves will go to the line. A hard foul given by Dante Vaughn.
But he was going after the ball, clearly.
That's Vaughn's first, and the first against Cincinnati here in the second half. A nice outlet, though, from Kendall.
Yes, Cincinnati was up in a man pressure, and that time Graves got behind him, and he got fouled. But I thought going for the ball, it was just a good, clean play.
Antonio Graves got quite a basketball education this past summer, playing in a summer league in Las Vegas. Some of the other neat names that played in that same league: Chauncey Billups, Antoine Walker, Tyronn Lue. That'll tune up your game for the Big East season.
Yeah, you can get a lot better playing against those sort of guys.
All of a sudden you look up and there's Chauncey Billups standing in front of you.
And I think that's one way that teams get people better. The summer is when the kids get a chance to really get better.
Pretty move with the right-handed finger roll by Vaughn. Vaughn has been a streaky player this season, leads Cincinnati in scoring. But there have been 7 games this season where he scored 7 or fewer points. He's had 8 games this year where he scored at least 16 points. And he commits the foul out near midcourt. So he is a feast or famine type scorer.
Well, the thing about him is, he really plays with command of the game. He's able to get into the lane, and there you see him put his body on the defensive player and still finish. He's very, very talented with that. But what's even so remarkable to put a freshman in that situation of having to really put the game in their hands. And he's done a really good job of it.
Gray has it stolen. Sykes takes it away. Tried to pass out of the double team, and the long arms of Sykes and McGowan got in his way.
Cincinnati spreading the floor. They're trying to let McGowan go one-on-one with Gray.
McGowan pulls up, does not get the roll, and Gray has his 5th rebound.
For the most part, Cincinnati is not trying any sort of continuity offense. They're just trying to pick the guy they want to go after and attacking them off the dribble.
Kendall with a miss from behind the arc, and here's Jamal Warren. Vaughn comes up short. Williamson runs down the loose ball. Goes to the basket. Some contact and no call. Gray has the rebound. Warren knocked it away, but right to Fields. The Cincinnati bench, you can see Nick Cronin with arms outstretched in the background. They thought that Williamson was hit. I think they were right.
Well, Mick wants every call right now. and in this building, we talked earlier, in this building, Cincinnati's awful tough with some calls.
Timeout called by Pitt. They have a 13-point lead.
Enjoy a fun-filled, affordable vacation by visiting the
Big Ten country for more college hoops on SNY. Rich McBride in Illinois make a stop in West Lafayette for a tangle with Chris Lutz and the Purdue Boilermakers. Illinois-Purdue, Saturday at 2:30 on Sportsnet New York.
For Pitt, but now let's take a look at our Red Lobster nothing but net shot of the game. And Levance Fields, this is one of his 6 made threes.
What range he has. I mean, these are deep threes, Bob. I mean, they're not like straddling the line. I mean, they're more like close to the out of bounds line.
And we check our Star Watch players, Levance Fields, Dante Vaughn. Well, they've combined for 28 points and 10 made threes between them. Clearly, these two have been the best 2 respective players for their team.
Without question, they really set the table and helped get other people involved also.
Ramon back off the bench. He looked uncomfortable once he stepped into 2-point land, didn't he? He needs to stay out there on the perimeter, right in front of Jamie Dixon.
They were trying to get him off a weak side screen there for a jump shot.
Fields tries to cross over. Nice job to stay home by Sykes. And a shot clock violation as the loose ball caromed around and ate up the last 2 or 3 seconds of the 35. We'll step aside. Cincinnati, in spite of 63% from the field for Pitt, hanging in there. I'm Bob Wischusen alongside Perry Clark back here at Fifth Third Arena. And Coach, I'm not sure if you're aware, but January 24th is actually the first day of spring in Cincinnati.
I was not aware of that.
You did not check your calendar, I know, but yes, they were practicing baseball today here on campus. And in case you're wondering, it was not balmy. That is snow on the warning track in the background. February 9th, the Cincinnati Bearcats baseball team opens up their season at Florida International. Thank goodness for the Bearcats, that is a road game. But that's only 9 games away from their home opener. They open their season at home March 3rd against Dartmouth. And well, who's to say there might still not be some snow on the warning track?
I'm telling you. Look for Cincinnati come out with a set play on this.
A delay by McGowan. Trinity with the left hand, can't put it home.
That has to drive you crazy. He had a point-blank shot that he just missed. Really set up well. They faked the dribble handoff. McGowan drove and missed point-blank.
What's it like when you put all those little X's and O's and arrows on that dry erase board? It plays out exactly the way you thought it would.
It can be a little frustrating, but that's why you got to love it.
Vaughn spins down the lane, tried to flip one, and a miscommunication with Sykes. Sykes was under the basket, and the ball was 4 feet behind him. Only the 5th Cincinnati turnover.
Well, you see Vaughn got in the air right there, misread the cut. And the one thing about the Big East, when you make mistakes, teams in this league make you pay. You know, this is a league that when you're young, it eats its young. I mean, because it will devour you. You know, and you just can't make mistakes. You got to bring it every night. You have to make smart plays, and you have to be on top of your game. And a lot of times with young players, it takes a while.
A steal heading the other way is Gentry. He's been on the bench for a long time with 3 personal fouls. Just checking in for the first time in the second half. And he draws the foul, although Mick Cronin actually saying earlier today, which I thought was a good way to look at this league, and you agreed, you've coached in this league, that when you have a good team in the Big East, you know you're good.
Oh, if you're a good team in this league, if you're in the top 4, nationally, you're in the top 10, top 15. That's right. How good this league is.
Because there are some conferences, say, just for the sake of argument, you're Gonzaga. Now, you might be ranked 8th in the country, and you might be undefeated in your conference. But unless you play a brutal out-of-conference schedule, which they did this year, there's probably always that kind of idea in the back of your head, how good is my team? When I go to the NCAA tournament, how seasoned will my guys be? Well, there's no question. You go to the NCAA tournament out of the Big East, you know exactly what you have, don't you?
You can be 8th in this league, and you can be a very, very good team. So certainly there's no question. And the reason being, you know, we're in Cincinnati tonight. They probably have 13,000 in this building. You know, you walk into other people's arena, you're going to see 12, 13,000 every night coming at you. So when you're on the road, it's really difficult and tough, and you're going to get tested.
It took a little effort for Pitt to get the ball across the timeline, and now Fields avoids the double team. What an alley-oop pass, though, as Ramon found Cook cutting back door.
Well, again, it just shows you how unselfish this Pittsburgh team is. Ramon is not just a shooter. He can pass, he can attack the basket. He's really a complete player.
Williamson, 17 on the shot clock, sets up Vaughn, and now gets caught with Sam Young on a switch. Williamson with the smaller Ramon down in the post. They can't get him the basketball. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Vaughn penetrates, leans, doesn't get the roll. Lost out of bounds off the left hand of Williamson.
There you see Cincinnati's coming out and pressuring them, and Ramon's spots right there. The cutting man, I think that's Cook cutting, and he finishes right there. But again, it just shows you how unselfish they are and how smart they are in recognizing situations. And talking about this league, what about St. John? St. John loses at the ball, comes home, and beats Syracuse and Notre Dame back-to-back. And so, I mean, there's no easy nights in this league.
Well, St. John's had what you would term some terrible out-of-conference losses early on in the season. They go up to the Carrier Dome in a few weeks. Graves along the baseline. Nice move towards the rack by Aaron Gray. So Gray now has 7 to go along with 6 rebounds. And a timeout called by Cincinnati.
You know, right now, Cincinnati wants the pressure. They're trying to change the tempo of the game, but they don't want to give up layups. And they've given up 2 layups off of their pressure, and that's why Mick wants to straighten that out.
Well, Pitt 17-3, 5-1 in the Big East. 2 of their losses coming in overtime against Oklahoma State, a double overtime loss, a 1-possession overtime loss against Marquette, and also a loss at number 3 Wisconsin. No one's going to blame you when you lose those 3 games.
No, and Jamie Dixon wanted to play a top 5 RPI type of schedule. And, you know, with the Big East, a lot of people would not have played the type of schedule he's played, knowing what he has to face in the Big East. But as I told him, that means you really have an awful good contract when you play an out-of-conference schedule like that. But certainly, Pitt has stepped up and played really tough competition all year.
Yeah, Pitt began the season 10-0. Not only have they won 5 Big East games, but they also have out-of-conference wins against UMass, Auburn, and Florida State. And with what Auburn did to Alabama last night, all of a sudden that out-of-conference win against Auburn looks pretty good.
Oh, it does. I mean, without question, they played a tough schedule.
Gentry can't convert from the corner. He's been quiet. Graves in transition. Finds a backdoor cutter, and the flush by Sam Young.
Look, that's Sam Young at his best. Sam Young is a guy that you don't need to call a play for, and he can find ways to manufacture points for you. He does it by running the floor. He does it by offensive rebounds. He does it by steals. And when he's at his best, that's the way he plays.
Young's first field goal, he has 3, and Pitt has now taken charge, up by 18. And again, rimming one in and out, Cedric McGowan. And on the run, once again, the Panthers. Benjamin lays one off. Young knocks it down. Pitt is in a rhythm now offensively, and Dixon loves it.
They are. You know, they never play any faster than they can think. And as a team, as a coach, that's what you want your team to do. You want them to play fast, but they have to be able to think, recognize, and make plays. And Pitt plays at that pace where they can do that. Tremendous run out right there. Young right there on the dunk. There you see right there coming down. Great pass to Young, bounces up, takes his time, knocks down the jump shot. And again, when you have a guy like Young, a guy like Cook, that you don't have to run plays for, and they can still get you 8-9 points a night, that's a luxury a lot of teams don't have, Bob.
What you obviously worry about if you're Cincinnati is what we have right now. This game all night has kind of been teetering on the brink of where we find ourselves now, and that's Pitt with an 8-0 run and a 20-point lead. There was only so much time to go by, really, Coach, you feel, for Cincinnati trailing anywhere from, say, 8 to 13 before one little run, and now you find yourself down by 20, and this is a huge hole for the Bearcats to have to deal with 12:29 to go.
And especially because Pittsburgh has played good defense. You know, Cincinnati was in the game more because of what Cincinnati was doing than what Pittsburgh wasn't doing. And so now it's hard for a young team to sustain that for long periods.
Williamson finally gets one to go. There was some contact as well. No foul call, but Williamson with his first field goal here in the second half.
You see Cincinnati coming back with the pressure.
And they need some turnovers. Ramon gets caught, gives it up to Young. And Young splits the double team, and now a reset for Pitt.
You see the way the Pittsburgh guys, when they get double teamed, they ball fake. They just don't get it and try to throw it somewhere. I mean, they test their passes. They're strong with it.
Inside Gray with a seal as he got Sykes caught on his hip, and Gray will go to the line. Timeout on the floor. 11:40 to go. Pitt in control. 18-point lead for the number 9 Pitt Panthers as we take a look now at our select stats, brought to you by Select Sector Spiders. So this is our Select Sector Select Stats. Coach, want to try to say that one 10 times fast?
That's what you get paid for.
Well, Pitt has not cooled off whatsoever from the field in the second half, shooting 67% in the second half and 68% for the game.
And the problem Cincinnati has faced all year, they're only shooting 20%. They hit those streaks where they can't score, and it puts them behind the 8 ball, so to speak, and that's what happened in this Pittsburgh run.
Coming up later, we will have our Peter Piper pickled peppers percentages. Gray at the line looking to stretch the lead back to 20. And what I think to a certain extent is also impressive about Pitt tonight. Now, they have not given up too many open looks for Cincinnati. And if they do indeed hold Cincinnati under 70, which you certainly would imagine they would, Cincinnati with only 34 points and 11.5 minutes to go, it would be the 99th time in 119 games under Jamie Dixon where they have held an opponent to 70 points or less.
Well, Pittsburgh's rise in the Big East, they were really known as a defensive team. And because of Fields and Ramon and Graves, they're known as a three-point shooting team or a very explosive offensive team. But they really got their stripes, so to speak, off the defensive end, and they really haven't forgotten how to play defense. They do a very good job with it.
Hanging and converting Antonio Graves, and he'll go to the line with a chance for an old-fashioned three-point play. They haven't used too many of these old-fashioned three-point plays tonight.
No, but again, you know, Gray is such a great passer. I mean, and at the next level, I think that's the thing that's really going to separate him. He can find the open guy, and he enjoys passing.
And a steal, adding a little insult to injury, a fresh shot clock, and a reset for Pitt with a 22-point lead.
And Mick has just sat down right now. He's trying to figure out what he can do to get his team going again. They came out, they played with a lot of enthusiasm. He wants to play up and down, and he will recruit to that style, and he'll get talented players in here that can play that style. But tonight, they're just being overmatched by this Pittsburgh team.
Sam Young has a 35-inch vertical. He's probably the best overall athlete that Pitt has. He's actually a gymnast as well, and he has been elevating all night inside. He now has 9. From way outside, a 3 won't go. As Jamal Warren missed. Working the offensive glass, though, the putback by Cedric McGowan.
Well, if anything Pitt has not done well tonight has been keep Cincinnati off the offensive glass. Cincinnati's out offensive rebounding them all night.
Young tried to shovel one off. Deflected away by Sykes on the steal. And here's Gentry. Sykes for 3. It's been that kind of night for the Bearcats. Gray, another rebound. That's his 8th.
Look for Pittsburgh right now to slow it down.
A foul called out near midcourt against Jamal Warren. And in case you're just joining us, we are inside Fifth Third Arena here in Cincinnati on the Bearcats campus. I'm Bob Wischusen with Perry Clark. Number 9 Pitt in control because of that. Their three-point shooting, 11 for 16 tonight from behind the arc. Cincinnati only 3 for 14. And as a result, a 22-point advantage for Pitt with 9.5 minutes to play.
And again, look for Pittsburgh right now to go to their half-court game. They're going to really run their sets, turn it over, burn some clock, and kind of grind it.
Inside, shot partially deflected by Connor Barwin. A reminder that this game is being produced and distributed by ESPN Regional Television.
They're really trying to get the ball right now to Gray. They're really looking to either post him. He's got a real mismatch right now.
Biggs with a seal inside. Dante Vaughn on his hip. And Biggs misses everything. Stays active on the offensive glass, though, and draws the foul. So Tyrell Biggs will go to the line.
And this is a young man that they really are expecting a lot of big things out of. They think he's really tough in around the glass. He really does a good job rebounding, but his low post game is what they really bring him in to do a good job with that.
When Tyrell Biggs was in 8th grade, he was 6'5", 230 pounds. He actually lost 20 pounds over the summer as Levon Kendall comes back on. At one point, he was weighing in the neighborhood of 270. He's down to 245 now. But it's 6'8", 245. And he is one of those guys that has a body that looks pretty good in the layup line. He has a chance to be a force. Only a sophomore from Nanuet, New York, went to Don Bosco Prep, which is known more as a football school in New Jersey than a basketball school.
Well, Pittsburgh has a way of really getting guys in shape, and they've done a really good job with that, getting guys stronger as their careers have gone on.
Vaughn wide open for three. Connects.
You got to be impressed with him. I mean, no matter what the score winds up to be, I think he's played a fine basketball game. And as a freshman, playing against these guys that he's playing against, Ramon and Fields, he's really doing a great job.
And a hustle play by Jamal Warren to knock it away from Ronald Ramon. And the officials ruled that Ramon touched it last. 12th Pitt turnover. And Jamie Dixon, well, to look at him, you wouldn't notice that 20-point lead is right beneath the Pitt head coach. He has the look on his face of a man right now that's down 5 instead of up 20.
Well, Jamie is a teacher, and he enjoys coaching, and he really likes this team. He enjoys teaching this team because, as when I talked to him earlier, they're like sponges. They really absorb what he's saying, and they always are trying to get better.
Over the last 5 years, Pitt has been one of the top teams in the country as Williamson picks up the air ball and knocks it down. In terms of comparing them with other national powers, last year they went 25-8. That was their 5th straight 20-win season. They're well on their way to their 6th straight 20-win season this year. They've averaged about 27 wins per year over the last 5 years, and their winning percentage over the last 6 years is second only to Duke and Gonzaga.
Well, you know, Ben Holland came in and really set the table. He put together a really good team that executed well. They were known for their half-court offense and their tough defense, and Jamie's just taking it to another level.
7 minutes and 38 seconds away from Pitt's 18th win of the season. They're 5-1 in the Big East as well. Pitt with a 20-point lead here at Cincinnati as we take a look now at our game-changing performance brought to you by Pontiac, and it comes courtesy of Levance Fields.
Well, he's been the key to this basketball game. His ability to knock down a three-point shot has really stretched the defense. He's been able to do it coming off of ball screens. He's been able to do it by spotting up and catching the ball off of reversals for wide-open jump shots. But he certainly has been the difference in this basketball game.
Fields has doubled up his average per game. He averages 9 points per game. He's got 18 tonight. 6 of 7 from the field. All 6 of 7 coming from behind the arc, and he leads all scorers. And now Cincinnati with some full court pressure. Hustle deflection stays Pitt's ball.
Well, Mick Cronin has to be pleased with this team hustle right now. I mean, they're not giving up. They're still staying with it. They had a tremendous win over the weekend against West Virginia, very emotional. And, you know, they have not come out and shot the ball as well tonight as they did that over the weekend.
Mike Cook gets bumped by Cedric McGowan. And McGowan called for the foul. That's the 7th team foul against Cincinnati, so that puts Pitt in the bonus. Cook shoots 1-1.
I don't know if this Pittsburgh team is a team that they want to get out and get physical with, because Pittsburgh just kind of absorbs that. They like to play like that.
Mike Cook's mother, Dawn Hoover, played basketball at Temple. and now coaches high school basketball back in his native Philadelphia. So I'm sure she watches this game. She's probably pretty happy with the shooting percentages of her son's team tonight. She probably knows as a coach, as I'm sure you do, if you shoot 69% from the field, you got a chance.
You got a chance. You got a chance. But one of the things that they really like with Cook, they think offensively he can really score for them. And not just in the low post, but he can also stretch the defense with some range. And so they really think he has a really bright future.
A transfer from East Carolina is Mike Cook. He sat out all of last year after leading East Carolina in scoring a couple of years ago as a sophomore, averaging 15 points per game. Benjamin misses from well outside, and that one's knocked away by Levon Kendall. Again, a reminder, golf fans and club pros, it's not too early to start thinking about the 2007 ESPN National Golf Challenge. Log on to ESPNGolf.com to register your team or to sign your course up as a qualifying site. Be a part of the search for America's best twosome.
You know, Bob, one of the things I've noticed is the Cincinnati crowd. I mean, obviously they're used to great tradition here, winning basketball. This has not been the type of year that they've been used to, but yet they're still out. They're very supportive. The students are really in the game. And when you have that, that's a foundation to be able to build and get a program really back. I shouldn't say build a program, because certainly they've had a great program here, but get the program back up to the level that they're all been used to. And for these fans to come out and be as supportive that they are for this team, I think is a real testament to Cincinnati.
A three from the corner. Mike Cook gets the roll. The 12th three made tonight by Pitt. Cook now has 9. And Cronin wants a timeout. It's a 30-second timeout called by the Bearcats with 6 minutes to go. And as we take a look, an advanced look at upcoming games brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. For the best parts, people, and price, we're ready in advance. And here's what's to come over the next 3 games for both Pitt and Cincinnati.
Well, that Pittsburgh game Monday night at Villanova is going to be a heck of a basketball game. I've seen Villanova play maybe 3 times, and, Reynolds for them, Scotty Reynolds, has really stepped his game up. He struggled some at West Virginia in the first, but since the West Virginia game, he has been playing lights out, and he might be playing the best guard play right now in the league.
Yeah, I would have to say that the folks at Oklahoma have to be gritting their teeth a bit when they see Scotty Reynolds do what he did, not only against Notre Dame last week, but also a nationally televised game at the Wachovia Center over the weekend against Texas. And he, of course, was a player that signed a national letter of intent to play at Oklahoma, but he signed it with Kelvin Sampson. So Sampson leaves, goes to Indiana. In comes Jeff Capel. Reynolds put himself back out on the recruiting market, and he was picked up by Jay Wright.
Well, after the West Virginia game, Jay Wright kept his team on the floor, and till today, I still don't know what he told them, but they stayed out on the floor for about 10 minutes. And since that game, they've been playing tremendous basketball, so I'm sure he made a point to him, because Jay's a tremendous teacher and motivator.
They're a heck of a team. When Sumter is healthy, I think Villanova's a top 25 team without a doubt. As Cook misses that floater, Sykes has the rebound.
Oh, without question, you got to take your hat off to Sumter. I mean, 2 injuries and be able to bounce back like that, everybody's rooting for him.
A leaner in the lane, banking it off the window, Jamal Warren. That's his first basket. He averages close to 10 points per game.
But again, this Cincinnati team is not giving in. They're still pressuring. And with a couple turnovers, they can cut this lead right now. Look for Pittsburgh again to try to get the ball inside.
Fields with 7 on the shot clock. Inside it goes to Gray. Kick to the corner. Benjamin, 3 to shoot. Launches a long 2. That one barely draws iron. And now a shot clock violation is called. Jamie Dixon thought that caught a bit of the heel of the rim, but now has the explanation come that in the official's opinion it did not. It just hit. I think what the officials were telling Jamie Dixon was the ball changed direction. I think it caught a bit of the red padding on the underside of the backboard.
Well, I think it's important for Pittsburgh right now not to lose its focus. I think they've got to go back to revving up their defense, and a lot of times kids will look at the scoreboard and adjust, but they want to keep their intensity and keep the way that they came in this game playing the same way as they get a steal right there.
Gentry an offensive rebound, but threw it away to Ramon. Under 4 minutes to go. Sam Young in the post. And Gray slides one to Ramon for three. And a foul called on Gray over the back. A nice box out by Marcus Sykes. And Gray commits his second personal. 3 minutes and 43 seconds to go. Timeout on the floor.
If you're looking to ramp up your ride, get ready. Advance Auto Parts has a special order center just for you. Your one-of-a-kind, one-stop shop for everything you could ever want in parts and performance accessories. Everything from lift kits to cool custom accessories is ready for direct-to-your-door delivery or convenient in-store pickup. When you want the most complete selection of parts and accessories, the only place to go is the Special Orders Center in Advance Auto Parts.
We're ready in advance.
I'm Emeka Okafor, college graduate, Charlotte Bobcat, and proud recipient of the Aeropostale Big East Scholar Athlete of the Year. Graduating with a 3.76 GPA and a degree in finance in 3 years, I balanced books and basketball. Aeropostale gives out more than $300,000 in scholarships to both students and student athletes. It wasn't and still isn't all about the rebounds.
Are our SUVs as much fun as our bikes?
You think you can handle it?
Can you?
Introducing the all-new Suzuki XL7 midsize crossover SUV. It's going to be a great ride. Lease the XL7 for just $259 a month.
A warm New York winter is about to freeze over on Friday nights, as college hockey has a new Friday night home on Sportsnet New York. Every week, the powerhouse beasts of the Northeast lace up their skates and take to the ice. Get your gear on and join the rush. Shot for shot, save for save. All the goals, assists, big checks, and hard hits. It's time to drop the puck on Friday nights. Friday night college hockey on SNY. Boston College versus Boston University. Live Friday at 7:30 on Sportsnet New York.
Tonight's game has been brought to you by Pontiac, official performance machines of the NCAA. Select Sector Spiders. Start weaving a stronger portfolio today. Visit us on the web at sectorspdrs.com or call 1-800-THE-AMEX. Advance Auto Parts, for the best parts, people, and prices. We're ready in advance. And by PNC Bank. With PNC's new performance checking, make every ATM in the world free. The threes have seemingly been free tonight for Pitt. They've got 12 all in all on 19 attempts. And in transition off the steal, here's Ramon. And wisely pulls it out 1-on-3, especially with his team up by 19 with 3 minutes and 15 seconds to go.
Well, he's a smart player, and he certainly knows right now that they really want to burn some clock. But for Cincinnati, I mean, in the second half, they shoot 31%. They shoot 11% from the three, 66% from the foul line. I mean, that's just not – it's going to be awful hard to beat anybody, and I know Mick Cronin recognized that.
Gentry stepped in the passing lane with a steal at one end and then set up Jamal Warren at the other. Levance Fields commits the foul. His second, and that puts Warren at the line. Fields with 6 threes tonight. Overall, he's 6 of 7 from behind the arc. That's a career best for him, and it's also a season high for made threes in a game by any Pitt player. And it seemed as if Cincinnati tonight, coach, did what every team that plays Pitt's going to have to do. You're either going to collapse with whatever defensive scheme you'd like to come up with on Aaron Gray, but if Pitt then moves the basketball, they're going to see some open looks, and if they knock down shots, as they did tonight, I don't know of too many teams in the country that would be able to guard them.
Pittsburgh is awful. They're an awful smart team with a lot of different parts. And tonight, the other part stepped up. I mean, Ramon stepped up, Fields stepped up. I thought that Young has had a really nice game for him. Braves has stepped up. And so, you know, yeah. And we talked about this earlier this afternoon. When you look at Aaron Gray, you can't just go by how many points he scores and judge his game, because he does so many other things. And I thought his passing tonight really set the table for a lot of these other guys to step up and have good nights.
Well, there certainly are some other teams in the country, say Georgetown with Hibbert or McRoberts at Duke, and the front line that Carolina sports. I mean, if Pitt were to make it deep into the tournament and one of those teams at some point is waiting for them, there are teams out there that have big bodies that can match up against Gray. But at some point, he demands a double team, and they have so many guys around the perimeter that can hit a three. As you talked about how unselfish they are with their ball movement, I mean, they can be a very fluid and dangerous offensive team.
Yeah, but not only that, but you have Briggs, you have Young, you have Cook that can all hit the glass, and they can take the misses and turn them into baskets because they can offensive rebound. And I think that's the third dimension to this Pittsburgh offense that we didn't have to see tonight because they shot the ball so well, but it's certainly there. The first dimension is Gray and his ability to score. The second is the kickouts and the three-point shooting. And then the third dimension are the big guys being able to finish on second shots off offensive rebounds.
Gentry in transition lays one in with under 2 minutes to go. He has three. And that's a big change from the 32 that Marvin Gentry poured in the overtime win here in Cincinnati for the Bearcats against West Virginia. Timeout called by Pitt as Levance Fields was trapped on the sideline. And in case you're just joining us and also want to know what else is going on around the Big East tonight, let's check in on some scores. South Florida with a convincing win over Rutgers. And Georgetown ends up pulling away from DePaul. That was a one-point game the last time we checked in. Marquette in control seemingly against Seton Hall at home. And now West Virginia has come from double figures down against Marshall to take a 10-point lead in the Capital Classic in Charleston. So that game is being played in Charleston, although it's two West Virginia schools that are having at it.
And that South Florida win is huge for them because certainly they're trying to get to New York. And I can tell you every coach wants to get to New York to Madison Square Garden to play in the Big East tournament. And so there'll be 4 teams that won't, and that will be a tremendous battle. How about this? Connecticut right now would be one of those teams in that mix, and you know that's a surprise. But let me tell you, Jim Calhoun will get those guys going, and I expect for them to have a tremendous second half of the season. He has a talented team. They're young. They've had some tough luck, but they will be there when it's all said and done. He does a tremendous job.
Well, they have 8 freshmen. That's the most in the Big East, especially in terms of how those freshmen factor into their rotation. And basically, they all play.
Oh, without question, how you like to lose everybody to the pros? I mean, your top 6 to the pros. I mean, that's just unheard of. And I'll tell you what, if that group can stay together, by this time next year, they'll make huge noise nationally.
And what it also goes to show you is how tough this conference is, doesn't it? It really doesn't matter what type of a resume you bring from high school or prep or even junior college basketball into the Big East. You can have the most decorated Fab Five that you could put on the floor. There are going to be some growing pains in this conference, and right now UConn is going through just that scenario.
Oh, without question. Experience means a lot in this conference. It's hard to beat senior and junior oriented teams when you got freshmen and sophomores. And like I said earlier, I mean, this league truly devours the young. And you have to grow up and you have to get stronger if you're going to be able to compete night in and night out.
Vaughn continues to compete, but got caught in midair with nowhere to go with 55 seconds to go. And now Jamie Dixon is emptying his bench. Tyrell Biggs is done for the night. So now Jeff Risk has come on for the first time. Also in the game for the first time tonight, Maurice Poland. As the last 50 seconds is going to be played by the bench players for Pitt. Risk, a freshman from Franklin Lakes, New Jersey, who has scored one basket this season, had the ball stripped away on his way to the goal.
He was on his way for his second one on that one.
Yeah, you could see the entire Pitt sideline was ready to explode if Jeff Risk was able to put that one home. 45 seconds to go. Poland gets caught on the run and travels. Tied up by Brandon Miller.
You see Fields come over, just tell him to take his time. Cincinnati, again, they just didn't shoot the ball very well. I thought the game plan was solid. I thought their execution was good, but they were not able consistently to shoot the basketball.
As small as they are in comparison with the size that Pitt has, and really, if you're Mick Cronin, I guess the hope is that you'll make some shots. And you just have to hope that Pitt is going to miss some shots, because some of their shots are going to be open if you collapse on Gray. Well, Pitt hit everything they looked at in the first half.
They really did, and if they didn't, then Gray would have probably eaten them up inside. So you just pick your poison.
Down to the final seconds. Ronald Ramon dribbles out the closing couple of moments. 67-51 is your final here in Cincinnati, and the Pitt Panthers are officially off to their best start ever in the Big East at 6-1. 4 previous seasons, they had been as good as 5-1. They had always lost that 7th game. This year, not so. A 16-point win for number 9 Pitt. They are 18-3 and 6-1 now in the conference. Their best start ever in the Big East. We'll come back and wrap things up in just a moment here in Cincinnati.
My husband and I are constantly on the go, what with work and shuttling the kids between ballet and soccer practice. Come on, kids. It's hard to find time to care for our lawn.
It's easy to overlook your lawn when you lead a busy life. That's where Scott's Lawn Service can help. Hi, I'm Ashton Ritchie with the Scott's Company. Just because you don't have the time doesn't mean you can't have a great lawn. Just give Scott's Lawn Service a call. A Scott's specialist will inspect your lawn and design a program specifically suited to its needs. And we apply Scott's proven products to your lawn. With Scott's Lawn Service, you'll never again face lawn problems alone. And of course, Scott's Lawn Service is guaranteed. You don't sign any contract, and you can stop the service at any time. Give Scott's Lawn Service a call. Get the convenience of a lawn service and the confidence of knowing it's Scott's.
For a free, no-obligation lawn analysis, call now, 800-238-1400. That's 800-238-1400.
Again, the final score here at Fifth Third Arena in Cincinnati. Pittsburgh, 67. Cincinnati, 51. And for Mick Cronin tonight, Perry Clark, things probably turned out about the way he would have expected if Levance Fields is going to make 6 of 7 from three-point land. This is probably a predictable final score.
Yeah, it was. But I tell you, you have to take your hat off to Pittsburgh. I thought that they really did a good job of recognizing what Cincinnati was trying to do. Fields came out, set the table. He started in our star watch, and he played up to that. He came off of ball screens. When they spread the floor, they were able to rotate him the basketball. He was able to get good looks. But his running the team, spreading himself out, putting himself in position to knock down threes really was the key thing in allowing Pittsburgh to get a working margin.
Pittsburgh, for the 6th time in the Big East this season, holds an opponent under 70 points. And for the 6th time, they come up with a conference win. Again, our final, a 16-point win for the Panthers. For Perry Clark and our entire ESPN Plus crew, I'm Bob Wischusen. The preceding has been an exclusive presentation of ESPN Regional Television, the worldwide leader in collegiate sports.